the tip of the iceberg. The part the media that CBS broke, the truth that was already out in federal documents, was a distraction, a purposeful distraction, like a mother mockingbird acting like its wings broken. For folks that don't live around mockingbirds, if they've built a nest by your house or in the bush by your business or whatever, when you're going into work or whatever, the mockingbird will flop around on the ground acting like its wings broken so that you won't go over to its eggs. And that's exactly what's gone on here, is that it started coming out in the last 6-8 months in federal court documents in Texas and Illinois and other areas, and we've done countless reports on this at Infowars.com and PrisonPilot.com and here on the Nightly News. If you're a new viewer, you can go pull all this up, but it's in mainstream news, that Sinaloa was authorized to ship cocaine in. So was Los Zetas, trained at U.S. military bases, Fort Bragg, Fort Benning. And that the CIA, FBI, DEA, 8 different agencies are involved in this. Border Patrol, ATF's only one small part. ATF's role was to do the fake gun buys at gun shops to blame the Second Amendment. But really, they were shipping tens of thousands of guns, 2,000 at a pop, directly to cartels to have them then kill each other. And then, so there'd be less competition to jack up the overall price. So the major U.S. Federal Reserve banks got larger amounts of goodies, larger amounts of liquid cash flowing into them. And this is all in the documents and different cartel heads that are busted. Mexico's kind of getting tired of it. They'll bust them. They'll ship them back to the U.S., to face the trial or whatever, in the case of the Sinaloa guy from Texas. And they'll declare national security in the trial. And the U.S. government will admit, yeah, national security. So this is all going on. And I'm down here in Brownsville right now on the border investigating this and talking to locals. They're scared. They've got helicopter attacks, shootouts, miles into the border, right next to football stadiums, while high school football, junior varsity is going on. They're kidnapping people, murdering people, killing citizens. The police literally, basically have yellow stripes down their backs, bigger than what's in the middle of the highway, just grovel. That's the ones that are just writing citizens tickets for that bit of mordito or beak dipping or small biting kickbacks. The rest of the cops, Border Patrol, are all on the narcotics payroll, and it's just a giant free-for-all of pure evil down here. And they've got giant FEMA camps they've built that they're priming with illegals, mainly from South America. The Mexicans are just let in, and I covered that on the radio extensively today. But it is just bizarre. Also, just a mass psychology example. While I'm down here, I took the family to the beach yesterday, and I noticed everybody was coughing and couldn't breathe. And I said, something's been dumped in the ocean, or there's a red tide. And I said, looks kind of like a red tide. It's brown out there. And I'd go up and ask folks, say, yeah, we're coughing, but, it can't be anything. Well, I got on my iPhone and typed in red tide, South Texas, and I got that there's a record bad red tide with this neurotoxin coming out as this algae mass produces. And there's all these giant dead fish now washing up today. But I would go into the hotel and go talk to people, and they'd be like, it's no problem. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. There was this denial. And then I would tell people, hey, look out. You can get sick when you go out there. It can kill people, asthmatics. And they would laugh at me until today when it was on the news, and now it exists. So it's just like the GMO soft kill or the mercury in the shots and the autism going from 1 in 30,000 25 years ago. 1 in 25,000 30 years ago to 1 in 58 in 2010. It's like 1 in 20-something in South Korea where the vaccination rate's high. It doesn't matter because it's incremental and people will just accept it. You probably could have had thousands dropping dead out there yesterday. And if the news didn't tell them, I was the bad man for warning people. But as soon as it was in the mainstream media today, there it is out of the Valley Star, red tide. And it says health advisory issued toxic bloom spreads. Here's another one. As soon as it was admitted, again, online last night, it was on the fishery service and Coast Guard were admitting it. But still, I was trying to show people on the iPhone, and it was just, wasn't true. It had to be mainstream media, not a fellow slave warning them. They're like coughing and wheezing, red eyes. I'm like, don't go out to the beach. It's a really bad red tide. I was out there swimming, and my kids couldn't breathe, and I said, we better get out of here. And Richard Reeves is traveling down here with us, and he was like, yeah, it's some kind of toxin. It's some kind of toxin. Look at all the dead fish. But there were people walking around us going, I don't know what you're talking about, because the media didn't tell them. Your house could be on fire. And if Janet Napolitano isn't there to wipe your hind end, some people would sit there in the flames because their God government didn't tell them. Look at this. The red tide invades. Officials, various algae blooms plague South Padre Island. In the photo, you can see one of the giant fish there that's dead. So just an example of mass psychology going on there, my friend.
You wanted to talk about Mitt Romney too, Alex.
Yes, I mean, these are some of the articles up on Infowars.com and featured news. I mean, the incredible news we report every day. I'm so honored to be here bringing this information to people, and I hope viewers and people realize how hard it is to do all this research and bring you this intel and how addicted to liberty and freedom we are. But I guess we are the #1 alternative media news source out there now, so I guess you do realize that. But we've got to go to the next level here. Obama's great African military safari, they're invading all these different countries now. They're going into Uganda, you name it. There's mass UN murder programs going on where they just mow everybody down for carbon tax sinks. I mean, it's just pure green genocide. They're announcing the Green Helmet Brigades coming in. I mean, it's just total Twilight Zone as the Peace Prize warlord sups on blood. UN forces are in Honduras and places, mass slaughtering, that's in the news, supping on blood. Liberals are dancing with glee. The pleasure is so good. Of course, they'll be conned and run over as well, but that's part of the celebration of weakness and being an idiot. Continuing, Romney gets advice from Obama's creepy science czar, John P. Holdren. It turns out his top advisor calling for carbon taxes is John P. Holdren. Well, of course. I mean, he's for abortion. He's for gun grabbing. He's for socialist health care. He wrote it, and it's a sacrament to the Republican mainline people. They love being conned. They love being hurt. It's like a demonic infestation or something. It's a mental thing where being conned and ripped off is cute and fun, and Herman Cain's running around promoting giant new taxes to pay the Federal Reserve everything, and mainline Republicans are praising him in worship fest as the Federal Reserve exsanguinates and destroys society. Just total bedlam. Operation Gladio was returned. Kurt Nimmo writes, government-sponsored terror to get us into a war with Iran. Fake terror plots. Could Obama's class warfare cause a run on the banks? That's part of the plan there. Paul Joseph Watson. CIA is advertising that it's taking over your local police department. It's totally illegal, but they want to urinate on you and dominate you and let you know this is theirs. And they're going to sell cocaine and heroin to your children, and when they use it, they're going to put them in a private prison owned by mega banks that brought the drugs in to begin with. I mean, it's just total savage criminal evil and a huge domesticated public. Just, you will help us, government. I mean, just wanting to be enslaved. And we will implode like Mexico or North Korea. That's what the public wants. They beg for it 24/7. Oh, please, Mr. President, give me a free car and a house. 999. Herman Cain, save me with new taxes. It's so conservative. I know I'm kind of ranting here because I just did 3 hours on my own show and I'm just sick of it all. But that's basically a lot of the news. Yeah, here's some fish kill video that Richard shot. I don't know if you can see that, but it's, we ought to get all these photos. Let's go take some photos right now if we can handle it and get it off to Kurt Nimmo, and then we can have a big story on this. I mean, hell, that's usually drudge linkage and drudge love whenever, fish die anywhere. And I think this is pretty interesting. Because, by the way, fish are dying in the bay, which doesn't normally have red tide. Red tide, my behind. There is some brown tide out there. Look at the dead fish. Good Lord, Richard. I bet that smells really good. Yeah, that's my luck. I take the family on a 4-day working vacation down to the Texas coast, and there's just millions of dead fish everywhere. Those aren't dead fish. They love the government. Oh. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm a slave that even being able to talk is now a conspiracy theory. You don't like tyranny? You're a conspiracy theorist. All right, Aaron, I've been ranting here. I just want to say there's a lot of lovely things in life. I love the wonderment of life. I love the beauty of life. And good people can stand up to this. But I get a little bit cynical sometimes with satire just to illustrate how much we've put up with, how much bull. I mean, they're doing giant geoengineering, spraying barium salts, aluminum dioxide, and radioactive isotopes on the public. I told people for years they're putting radioactive isotopes in the water. Now it's on the news, but they say we don't know where it's coming from. It's in the damn fluoride. I mean, all of this is happening, and I just wanted to say thank you to the crew, our sponsors, who are the listeners and subscribers to PrisonPlanet.tv. But there, I've basically ranted and raved. America's giving into total fear. The Mexican cartels working for the Mexican government are conscripting the public to work for them. If you don't agree to work for them, they're killing them. They're now trying to conscript U.S. citizens. That's in the news, Fox News, AP, all over Texas. They're conscripting the young school children now to rob and steal and extort and kidnap, and it's all exploding. Just all the wonderful fruits of globalism, all the wonderful fruits of New World Order, all the wonderful fruits of drug prohibition, all the wonderful fruits of getting rid of the Constitution and ushering in a bunch of high-tech criminals swaggering around on top of us, destroying our entire future. I've got to go, though. I've got to go wade around in the toxic red tide, and I've got to go fill out some forms while I'm here to make sure the private Federal Reserve gets all the stupid tax money. So donate to us even more. Buy our books and videos, because we try to fly above the radar, in the radar, so they can't destroy us for whatever reason. And we're trying to expand this operation. And Aaron is just letting me rant here. Aaron, what do you think of this information?
Yeah, it sounds like you're deep in the trenches as usual, and I wish the public would listen too, but it's like you said, they wait for the headline.
Hey, you know, sir, there's a red tide out there. It's really dangerous. My eyes are burning. People can't breathe. I looked it up. It's a neurotoxin like cobra poison. It's in the air. There's fish dead everywhere. Get inside. And they're just like, ah. And then I went in the hotel and watched them running back in 5 minutes later. Couldn't breathe. Look at this. He just paused it on the fish thing. What do you think of this phenomenon, this psychological phenomenon that when a fellow slave warns you, it's an attribute to not listen to them. But when some pot-bellied criminal like Janet the Troll Napolitano tells you something, you grovel in fear and hide under your bed at night from the evil Iranians. I mean, why do you think that is?
Yeah, because we've been dehumanized, Alex.
Exactly. We see a fellow human killed, and it's kind of fun, but then we see the Marines kill a puppy, and that can't be a real puppy. Arrest those Marines if it is. Execute them, the media said, because we haven't been taught to hate a puppy. We've been taught to hate each other and not to have value in each other. We've got to start. That's what the telescreens in Walmart and other locations are, saying don't trust anyone but Janet Napolitano. Don't trust your neighbors. Terrorists are everywhere. Only government supports you, because they are the terrorists shipping in the drugs. They are the criminals. They are the dog trainers trying to break our will, train us to stick their hands down our pants. I mean, imagine handing our kids over for the high priest of pot-bellied government to molest them. This is the ridiculous wages of the filth they spew down our throats.
Yeah, and they leave the borders wide open, but you have to be supplicated to their harassing questions 100 miles in, as you know. They're doing
there's helicopters attacking, fires, rocket attacks, reporters hanging dead from bridges, miles from where I'm at, bedlam, dead bodies everywhere. They have helicopter attacks couple hundred yards from a football stadium with a game going. The cops won't even let their kids go to public school inside Texas now, but the cops keep quiet and send everybody else's kids because they need to pull the parents over as they drive them to school for money. I mean, it's gotten to just pure parasite world. And of course the cops pull over a nice looking family. They're not scared of them. But they bow and literally grovel like a dog on their back, showing their belly to the loving Mexican cartels, their bosses.
Outrageous, Alex. Well, thanks for joining us.
I mean, I've had all these Mexican nationals come up to me because the wealthy and middle-class Mexicans are all running up here to get away from just the total shakedowns and crime down there. And they're like, it's coming here. Now it's happening here, Alex. You're so brave to speak out. How do you do it? Because once we all just roll over to these people, we lose. A nation of cowards will be ruled by a nation of wolves. And I'm not putting up with it anymore, Aaron. We've got to get crazed for liberty today.
Hey, I tell you this, too. I've seen those border checkpoints for years and years where they ask you how many people's in the car and if you're hiding people. I was down near the border a couple weeks ago, too. Now they do it at state parks right here in Austin. I mean, it's just everything has to expand.
State parks in Austin, what happened?
Yeah, they asked if you're hiding someone in the car. Is this all that's in the car? Is anyone else hiding in here? Outrageous.
No. I mean, that's like when I flew to San Francisco to infiltrate the Bohemian Grove again and give that speech. You went with me, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it all becomes a blur. Yeah, you remember. I mean, it's like our plane's delayed. It gets in at like midnight. It's like 11:30. I'm there at the rental car place. And it's this little, 20-year-old blonde number. And I watch her with like 10 people in front of me going, where are you going? What you doing? Who you visiting? And people are like, oh, I'm here to visit my mother, or I'm here to sell, painting supplies. Oh, really? What kind of paints? What company you work for? And she's like putting it all in a database. And I get up to her and I go, you're a spy for the government.